Hi, you're listening to Authors Marketing Podcast, episode number 4. I'm your host, Mitchell Wright, and this is the only place where everyday writers can get the advice they need to engage their audience, reach new readers, and turn their passion for storytelling into a lucrative career. Here's a quick Q&A for you, AMP Nation. Are you on our newsletter? If not, simply head over to authorshift.com to sign up today. And when you do, you'll get our brand new report, the 12 best online resources for authors. If you're an author who realizes the power of being a social author, but you're really just not sure how to get started, the 12 tools that we feature will get you there. And you know the absolute best reason for getting your hands on this report? 10 of the 12 resources are free. So make sure you head over to authorshift.com and sign up today. Is your book ready to hit your readers' eyes, but you just haven't clicked that publish button yet? If so, head over to authorshift.com/LAB to join other like-minded authors in our group, How to Successfully Launch a Book. This is a members-only area that gives you access to all of our online marketing material, such as newsletter templates, and also how to curate content for your social media channels. We also share with you our offline promotional guides. So if you want to do a signing or a reading at a bookstore, your audience is going to be there for you. So head over to authorshift.com/lab to find out more. Okay, AMP listeners, let's get started. I am simply thrilled to introduce our guest today, Laurence O'Bryan. Laurence, are you ready to get amped up?
Absolutely. I'm delighted to be here, Mitchell. Thanks a lot for having me.
Fantastic. Laurence is an award-winning author at HarperCollins. The research he does for his mystery thriller novels allows him to travel the world. His books have been translated into 10 separate languages. He's also managed to find a way to get to the #1 list on Amazon in 2 different categories. Along the way, though, he's also found a passion for helping other writers get seen by their audience. This led him to founding Books Go Social, which enables authors to share the first page of their book with potential readers. Laurence, I've given our audience a little overview, but take a minute, tell us about you personally so we get to know you. Then give us an overview of what you got going on with you, your books, and your business.
Thanks, Mitchell. It's great to be on this. I've been involved with technology industry for 25 years, but I've also been writing for 14 years, and that was my real passion. I spent all of that time writing various adventure novels and mystery novels, and I finally got picked up by HarperCollins a couple of years ago. And my current book, The Manhattan Puzzle, is being published to American bookstores August the 26th. So if you pass a bookstore, please go in and have a look for The Manhattan Puzzle. What has happened in the last few years, though, is as part of the promotion that HarperCollins has done for me around the world, I've picked up over 220,000 followers on Twitter, on various Twitter accounts that I've been managing. And one of the things I find is that I like promoting other authors. Also, I've got a lot of space on those channels to promote other authors. So earlier this year, in January, I started a new site called booksgosocial.com. Previously, I'd had various guest bloggers on my original writing site. I had over 80 guest bloggers on that site. And Books Go Social started with a lot of those guest bloggers. And what it does, it provides people with a taste, the first page of a novel. The key thing I want to get across is for people who are really busy, that they can go and just taste a novel. We've mostly independent authors. That's what we now call self-published authors, independent authors. People who could have been published under another time. So it's good quality independent authors who've got a good cover, who've got a good novel, they've edited it, and they've put it up on Amazon. They've got some good reviews. So it goes up on Books Go Social. What I then do is I promote them heavily. Each of the author's novels gets promoted out to my 220,000 followers. We do various things every month. We're doing some Facebook advertising for people's titles. We're doing some street teams on Twitter to get people involved, to get them, each of the authors promoting the site as well as their own novels, and pushing people to get their blogs up, to get new blogs related to their books. So we're pushing heavily, and it's growing fast. Booksgosocial.com is growing fast. A lot of authors want to join us, and that's great. We're delighted. We have authors from all over the world. Out of the 220,000 followers, which is growing, by the way. We've got about a half in the States, and we've got about 60,000 in the UK. Most of those are readers. These are real followers who come to us because of various online promotions we've been doing over the last 3 years. So it's been built up with a lot of hard work. What I see this doing is helping authors who don't have a big following. Why should every author have to try and build up 200,000 followers, real followers, and spend years doing it and spending money like we did, going out and promoting the Twitter names that have attracted all those followers? Say you're an author, you don't have that many followers, but you want to use a service that will reach out with whatever news you have, special offers you have, a new book is coming out. You want to be able to do that and promote your book out to a big following. And that's what we do at Books Go Social. And so it's great to be on here. Do you have any specific questions you'd wanted to ask me?
Yes, Laurence, thank you for that overview. The question that really springs to mind for me is, you talked about Twitter and how authors might not necessarily need to reach a critical mass in their Twitter following to really promote their books. What is the one kind of misconception authors have today about promoting their books?
I think the big misconception is that you don't have to invest your time. You really do. You have to invest time. I normally get up at about 3:30 in the morning, and I've invested a lot of time in building up a following. I think that's one big misconception, that you can just put your book up on Amazon and it'll just sell itself. It doesn't. That's what the big publishers will do. If you manage to get a traditional publishing contract, they do some promotion. They get you out there. They put you in front of readers. So the big misconception is that independent authors don't have to do anything, that you can just sit back and wait for people to come. And there's a lot of work needs to be done to promote yourself. You need to have a good blog. You need to go out there and promote yourself on Facebook and Twitter. And it's not a magic wand. You're not going to get sales immediately. But I see nearly every day, I see people coming back to me and saying, on Twitter, and saying, I'm going to buy that book, or I've just bought that book. So I know it works. It's not a snowstorm. You're not going to suddenly get loads of orders. But if you're persistent and you work at it, you will build your following. You will build your sales.
Wow, I love how you tied in needing a blog, being on Facebook, being on Twitter. The question I have for you is, in your eyes, what would be the one online resource that best suits an author trying to get seen by their readers?
Well, they all have to work together. I think those are the three important ones. Having a Twitter account which allows you to reach out to people you've never met, that's great. Having a Facebook account which you can put a page on and you can promote yourself to the people who know you and ask them to promote you further. And having a blog which talks about your book. The days of just having an old website, a static website, are almost gone now. You need to have something, a blog, where you can put things up, if not every week, every second week, which are talking about your book, which are about the subject and the themes in your book. With that, you can attract people to come every week, every second week, come and read your short blog post with a picture. And then at the bottom of the blog post, you have, if you'd like to buy my book, click here, which takes them to Amazon or Barnes & Noble or whatever the services you support. But that's the way to do it. Those are the three things, the three key things which I think are important for any author these days.
Laurence, thank you so much for sharing that wonderful insight with us. You had just briefly mentioned being published by a traditional publishing house, that authors get a lot of the marketing done for them. And that's going to be a combination of online and offline. But for you as an author, what is the best offline resource that most authors can take advantage of right now?
Well, I think build up your local connections. You definitely need to have an online promotion, but you need to build up your local connections. That means being part of an author community, writing groups locally, whatever town or city you're in, going and meeting other writers and authors, and getting to know your local bookshops as well, and going in, having a party when your book comes out. We all love a nice party. Having a party, inviting other writers, inviting people in the writing community, and getting to know your local writing community. Go to writing courses. Eventually you could become a teacher in that area, but get involved with your local community. It's one of the great things about being a writer, because there's a ready-made community of writers and writing communities and writing groups which you can join in.
Laurence, it's actually great advice. The authors that we work with, they want to do more offline promotion. They want to be in the same room with their readers. They want to see them face to face. They don't always want to just be working online, stuck at a computer, sitting in a chair all the time. They want to be out and about, meeting new readers. And that begins with building relationships with other writers, building that offline platform, the community, within writing circles, within writing groups, getting your name out there in multiple ways.
Right. I think a lot of people understand that this is a good thing and it's a great resource, and writing conferences and all the other things you can go to are great, and it's great for networking. We know how important networking is, and I'd really recommend going to local writing conferences and even going off wherever you want. There's writing conferences all over the world you can go to if you fancy a holiday.
No, right? Okay. Laurence, we're going to transition a little bit into... I want you to tell us about when you first started getting serious with your writing. What has really kind of changed promotional-wise from then to now?
Well, when I started writing every day, which is the year 2014, 5 years ago, it was completely different. There was only the traditional outlets. And then there was vanity presses. The idea that you could go get your book edited, get a good cover, and bring it out yourself just wasn't there. So that has changed completely, and I think it's wonderful. I know some authors who have self-published, and we all know some of the big ones, but I know some local authors who've self-published who are selling well, who wouldn't be interested in a traditional publishing deal because they're making so much money. They're making good money selling themselves independently. Now, you have to be careful. Not everybody can do that, but there's definitely opportunities. If you've got something that's likely to be popular, that's going to be a popular book that fits in with one of those popular categories, then you have the opportunity to make money, but don't think it's going to be easy, and don't think that every book will sell. You've got to have a good, popular book. So that's the big thing. The people who've written something that is in a popular category or genre has a real opportunity to independently publish and make some money out of it.
Laurence, I love that breakdown you just gave us, how never before has a writer had so many opportunities to be a successful independent author. But being a successful independent author isn't always in the cards for everybody, how it takes a unique combination of factors, the main one most likely could be a book that is popular or that resonates with the audience they are trying to reach. But being a successful independent author is possible.
Yeah, 100%. I know people who are doing well, who are selling 50 copies a day. I know other people who are selling very few, and that's often down to the popularity of what they've written. But even those authors, perhaps they've written poetry or historical fiction about an era that there are many people who are interested in. Even those people have really enjoyed seeing their book go into print and holding the copy of their book, and even having hundreds of authors. It used to be, in any case, I've heard that when you were publishing a hardback, say 15 years ago, selling 500 copies of your hardback was all that would be expected. So if you can go out there and sell a few hundred copies of your own book, I think you should be feeling good about that. And it's a great feeling. You're really proud when you make something, sell a few hundred copies. I think that's a good feeling. As for me, it's worth every penny.
Laurence, I think you bring up an interesting point. Not that long ago, selling 500 copies of a hardcover title was a really great thing. But today, authors feel like they simply miss the mark if they're not hitting those same numbers. But also, a lot of the authors that I know that I work with, it's not so much about selling the books. It's about just seeing their name in print, and the story that they create is changing someone else's life.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Laurence, can you take a moment and tell us, when you were just getting started building your audience platform, what were the two main focal points that were essential to your success?
Well, that's a really interesting question. On the online promotion, I spent a lot of time building up my Twitter following. using various tools, following people who were following other writers, and some of them would follow you back, and learning there's a whole ecosystem around Twitter of various software tools which support your use of Twitter, allows you to post when you want, allows you to post things from sites like Buffer App, allows you to do interesting posts of other writing sites. So that, and then realizing that I needed content. The big point was, when I started a blog, I had no idea that I could write good content. I was completely blind to it. I thought I have nothing to say on a blog. I thought I can't think of anything. There's no possible way I can think of things to write about. But finally, after reading other writers' blogs and seeing what they were doing and starting my own post, I realized I could do it. So I've made hundreds of blog posts now, and I've written hundreds of blog posts, and I'm delighted with it. And that was a big change for me. The realization that I could write a blog. You have that point at the beginning where you think, I have nothing to say. What am I going to write about? Everybody else is better than me. You have that point, and then you start doing it. And if you're persistent and you persevere, after 6 months, you suddenly find you've got 6, 8, or 10 blog posts, and it looks quite good. After a year, you've got 20 or 30 blog posts, and that looks great. So perseverance and having that realization that you have something to say, those are the key things for me.
Okay, I love that. So can you tell me, when you were first finding your voice with your blog, was there a certain strategy involved, a process that you used to actually create that content?
Yeah, there's a couple of things writers write about. A lot of people write about the craft. I didn't find myself happy with that at the beginning, so I wrote about my research. Luckily, I was writing about different cities. My first novel was set in Istanbul. The second one is in Jerusalem. The third one in Manhattan. Each of those presented research opportunities. And so I could write about just short pieces about some aspect of Istanbul or some aspect of Manhattan. Manhattan Henge, how the sun lights up down along the streets at certain times of the year. Those sort of things. So I write short posts covering aspects of my research. So that's a key thing, creating research-based posts. And for most writers, we love our research, and we can write some of it up in our own fashion on our own blogs.
Okay, so how much time do you actually spend on creating content for your blog and combining that with your social media presence?
Well, that's a very good question. I do spend quite a lot of time early morning, couple of hours probably working on Twitter, Facebook, blog posts, but also keeping up to date with what's going on. I write then in the morning. I usually write from about 9 till 12. That's writing on my new book, The Nuremberg Puzzle, which is going to come out next year. So I'm writing that and doing some editing, and that'll be in the morning. And then in the afternoon, I do my Books Go Social and supporting other authors, promoting their work, helping them, doing promotion for them. So this gives me a way to get my social media and mix it in with my writing as well.
It sounds like you've segmented your day into a way that you can handle your workflow.
Yeah, I think the best thing is that I don't have to have a full-time job. Books Go Social is providing that income because people want me to help them with their promotion, and the writing is providing an income as well. So those things combined mean I don't have to work a full-time job. I can promote authors and I can write. This is just the ideal life for me.
Fantastic. That is so inspiring. I love that, Laurence. Now, on the call, you've mentioned Twitter a few times. Is that your favorite social networking website, or do you use other ones like Facebook or like maybe a Google Plus, LinkedIn?
Well, I quite like Facebook now as well. Twitter and Facebook are good. Facebook you can waste a bit of time on, but I like Twitter because I use it mainly with lists. I've set up various lists of other writers, social media people, journalists, people in the publishing industry, so I can see what's going on. I use those lists extensively, and I also reply. Everyone who sends me a message, I reply to them, and we get some good conversations going. And that's one of the things I really enjoy, is getting conversations going with people in Hawaii or somebody in Chile or somebody in Australia or Malaysia. I met somebody in India recently. They're doing a little bit of research work for me in India. So that sort of thing, meeting people through Twitter, I really enjoy. Following what other people are doing on Facebook is great, but those are the two key things I work on.
Now, AMP listeners, I hope you just listened to what Laurence is saying. One of the best things about social media is you can actually reach people on different continents, and not just so much being in different time zones, but you're reaching people who are on the other side of the world, and you're able to connect with them in real time. That's actually some powerful stuff right there. Okay, Laurence, I'm going to switch directions here. I want to ask you, if you didn't have your audience today and you needed to launch your book by the end of the week, what would be the steps that you would take to do that?
Okay, I'd invest in some services. You don't have to invest thousands, but you have to invest something. Making sure you have a good blog, making sure you have you're investing in your own Twitter site, making sure that you're investing in some other services. And then I'd build up connections. So I'd have the online thing working, and I'd build up local connections. I'd go into my local bookshop. I'd tell them I've got a book coming out. I'd make sure I have a local party, invite people who can buy the book. They'll help you as well. So I'd do all of those things. I'd do the local, and I'd also do the online. Those are the things. If you've got a book launch coming up, those are the important things. If you get both of those, do as much as you can. We can't be perfect, but we can do a lot if we put our mind to it. Then you'll have a good book launch.
Laurence, thank you so much for breaking down the process you would use, the plan involved for getting your book launched by the end of the week without having your audience at your disposal. Now, I think it's very interesting how you brought up that you'd actually have that party and getting the people in the room with you. That is such a great idea.
Yeah, I think that's really important. You get a chance to stand up in front of everybody, and they have to shut up and listen to you, which is always good. If you're an author, now you may not be inclined, and you don't have to stand up, but it's nice, at least once in your life, to be able to stand up and say, here's why I wrote this book. Maybe only you want to speak for 2 minutes and just tell people why you wrote the book, but that's great. And you might even want to do a reading from it. But it's great. It's good fun. And people love that. They like to have a little party. They like to show that they appreciate what you've done, the effort you put into writing your book.
That is massive truth behind that, Laurence, because if somebody loves your writing and they love your book, they will come out and they will see you, they will support you. Laurence, in every episode of the show, I like to have one quote that I share with the audience. Do you have one that you use to motivate and inspire yourself to keep you moving forward?
Well, it's not really a quote. It's the 3 P's of book marketing. Perseverance, patience, and planning. Those are the 3 P's. Perseverance. That's the watchword that I've lived with all my life, is perseverance. If at first you don't succeed, try again. We all know that perseverance, the person, the guy or the gal who perseveres is the one who will win. That's the way it works. It's the tortoise and the snail, you persevere. It might take you a couple of years, but you keep going, you stick at it. And we know this. You stick at it, you'll get somewhere. It may be a different place than what you expect, but you'll get somewhere, and you may even win the race. So that's really what I go on. That's my mantra, is perseverance.
Right. It's not just one day is going to be enough to succeed at something. It takes a combination of days, a culmination of just working hard, keeping your nose to the grindstone, and just plugging away at it till you actually reach the goals that you want to achieve.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
Laurence, we're coming to the close of the episode, but I wanted to give you a moment to tell us what's the best way to reach you online. And also, if any of our AMP listeners want to get started with your service, Books Go Social, what's the best way for them to get started?
Yeah, you can read. There's about 130 first pages, really great first pages. And I'd like people to taste those authors' first pages. It'll only take you a couple of minutes, but come to booksgosocial.com. Look at the first pages. Look at the category you like, whether it's crime or thrillers or literary or romance. Look at some of the first pages in there and buy some of the books that are on that site. There's a link there that'll take you to the Services for Authors. That's the numeral 4, services4authors.com, and that's where you can sign up. Very low admin fee to get signed up. I don't believe in charging lots of money. Very low admin fee to get signed up if you're an author. And if you want to buy any of the books, then you can go to LP O'Brien, that's LPOBRYAN.com, and ask for, please go into your local bookstore and ask for the Manhattan Puzzle in August, because we've got to support our local bookstores as well.
Absolutely. Now, Laurence, I just want to say again, thank you so much for taking your time to sit down with us and answering the questions that our AMP listeners have been sending our way.
That's great, Mitchell. I've really enjoyed it. And hi to everybody from Dublin. I'm making this call from Dublin, Ireland. Hi to everybody over there. We hope you all have a great day. Thanks very much for interviewing me, Mitchell.
Oh, definitely. The pleasure has been all ours. Now, listeners, if you enjoyed this episode of the Authors Marketing Podcast, we would appreciate so much if you could subscribe to the show on iTunes. You can easily do that by heading over to authors-shift.com/iTunes, and that'll take you right to the show's page. And while you're there, please leave a review and hopefully a 5-star rating. Now, the notes and links to everything mentioned on today's episode can be found at authorshift.com/Laurence O'Bryan. Again, I want to thank you so much for listening, and I wish you the best in your publishing journey.